Lady Lollipop by Dick King Smith, Chapter 10. She had better come in to tea. That night, as the king and the queen lay side by side beneath the tufted tester of the great royal four-poster bed, the queen said, "You know, Theo, that boy Johnny knows a lot about roses." "Does he indeed, Eth?" said the king. "Yes, he knows all the different types, the hybrid teas, the floribundas, the climbers and the rambles, and which months they flower in, and which ones are resistant to disease. He's not just a swineherd. He's a bright boy." "Good, good," said the king. "Did he talk to you at all about Lollipop?" "I presume you mean that pig?" "Yes." "Certainly not. The boy has sense enough to know that I do not approve of that creature." There was a longish silence, during which the king considered the idea of having a proper row with the queen about Penelope's pig. "After all, I am the king," he thought. "Everyone has to do what I tell them, even the queen. But," he said to himself, "if we do have a row about it, I know who will win, and it won't be me." Just then the queen said sleepily, "I might find a job for that boy in my garden." "Good, good," said the king. The queen yawned. "Good night, Theo," she said. "Good night, Eth." After a few minutes the queen said, "I've been meaning to ask you, why ever did you come down to breakfast in your night clothes?" "Must have overslept," said the king. "Funny," the queen said drowsily. "There were bits of straw in your slippers." The king said nothing, hoping that she would not next say, "Why was that?" But then he heard a small snore, and he settled down thankfully. Soon his deeper snores accompanied hers. In her mini four-poster bed, the Princess Penelope dreamed pleasant dreams. Johnny came into them, but they were mostly about her pig. In them, Lollipop did all sorts of fantastic things that she, Penelope, had taught her to do, like playing the piano and walking on her hind legs and sitting up at the table with a napkin around her neck. In the stall, on a mattress made of sacks stuffed with straw, Johnny Skinner's dreams were also pleasant ones. Penelope appeared in them, but they were mostly about Lollipop. In one of them, she was carefully using her snout to turn over the earth between the rose bushes, while the queen watched approvingly, saying, "What a good pig!" Besides Johnny, deep in the straw, Lollipop, full-stomached, slept dreamlessly. Next morning, Johnny was summoned to the palace again. The king was in his study, and the princess was also there. They looked rather pleased with themselves. Johnny thought as though they were sharing a secret. "Sit down, Johnny, my boy," said the king, and then, "Go on, Penelope, tell him." "Johnny," said the princess, "we want you to bring Lollipop to the royal gardens after lunch today." "Does your mother know?" asked Johnny. "No, and she won't be back till tea time because she's going out this afternoon." "To a flower show," said the king. "She has entered a bunch of Ethelwyn's beautifuls in the hybrid tea class." "And if she wins," said Princess, "she'll be in such a good mood that perhaps she won't mind about my pig being in the garden, especially if Lollipop has done useful things among the roses. If she doesn't mind her in the garden, maybe she won't mind her in the palace." "Bring the pig in through the gate at the bottom of the royal gardens, Johnny," said the king. "And then, if things don't go right, you can slip out again the same way." Johnny thought for a minute. "But suppose things do go right, sir," he said. "Might it be a good idea to have the pig flap ready? The royal carpenters could make a new door with the flap in it, but leave the old door where it is. Then, if things go according to plan, they could quickly hang the new door, and we could demonstrate the whole thing, doormat and all, to the queen. What do you think, sir?" "I think," said the king, "that you may be one step nearer your dukedom." So it was that on that very afternoon the king and the princess and Johnny and Lollipop all met beside the queen's rose garden. Beside the old door that lay out from the palace into the royal gardens, a footman stood waiting, with orders to report the queen's return. Concealed behind some curtains, the royal carpenters waited, ready to substitute the new door with the pig flap in it, should a signal come later from the rose garden. Now came the moment to show what Johnny had been training the pig to do in an old patch of rough ground within the royal mews. He had her in the rose garden and gave the command, "Roodle." At this, the pig put her head down and with her snout began to grub up the soil between the rose bushes, turning it all over, burying the weeds, and sifting through the earth to till the soil. She worked her way methodically around and around the circular rose garden, being careful not to disturb the bushes, until the whole large expanse had been thoroughly cultivated, far more thoroughly than any human gardener could ever have done. When Lollipop had finished, she stood looking up at the three watchers, who with one voice cried, "What a good pig!" Then, as Johnny was wiping the earth from her snout, the footman came running from the garden door. "Your Majesty," he panted, "Her Majesty has returned. May it please your Majesty." "Right," said the king. "Now you keep your eye on me, my good man, and if, and only if, I hold both arms up as if I were stretching, you understand, you tell those carpenters to swap the doors." "Quick, Johnny," said the princess. "Get Lollipop out of sight. Hide behind the hedge. Don't come out unless I call you." Then she and her father waited anxiously for the queen to emerge. When she did, they saw at once that she wore pinned upon her dress one small and one large red rosette. "Guess what?" she cried happily as she hurried toward them. "I won!" "What did you win, Eth?" asked the king. "First prize in the hybrid tea class," said the queen. "But you've got 2 rosettes, Mommy," said the princess. "Yes," cried the queen, "because my Ethelwyn's Beautifuls won best in show." And she broke into a little dance of joy. Then she saw her rosebed. "Oh," she cried, "how very professionally my rose garden has been dug and weeded." "Hasn't it just?" said the king. "And Johnny," called the princess, and Johnny Skinner appeared from behind the hedge, followed by Lollipop. "Whatever is that pig doing here?" said the queen. "She's been cultivating your rose garden, ma'am," said Johnny. "Haven't you, Lollipop?" And the pig gave her a yes grunt. "She did it all, Mommy," said the princess. "She did it all by herself." Then she said, "Come, Lollipop," and the pig came to her. "Sit," and the pig sat, gazing up into the queen's face with bright eyes. The queen, staring into those eyes, fringed with white, long lashes and shining with intelligence, saw someone not so very different than herself looking back at her. "Did you really," said the queen to Lollipop, "do it all by yourself?" In reply, there came a quick, high-pitched grunt. "What a good pig," said Queen Ethelwyn softly. "She must be tired after all that work, and thirsty too. She had better come in to tea." And the king held both arms up as if he were stretching.